What's going on, everyone? Christy with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal. Hopefully you can hear me over my neighbor who decided to cut the lawn at this exact moment. But we went ahead and did a minimum pickup earlier today. It's been a pretty slow day otherwise. Tomorrow morning we are going to do a storage unit clean out for somebody who works at a student living facility that I've also worked at. And that's going to be a pretty decent sized job, so I'm looking forward to that. What I want to talk about today is pricing. Not just so much of like how to price, what to do, but actual numbers. So I was looking at some of my older videos last night. One of them was a pricing video where I actually talked about exactly how much I charge for each increment. And I'm one of the people that I go through and look at my competitors ahead of time, and I would recommend the same thing for you. So the rough part about telling someone how much to charge is it varies drastically depending on your location. What we charge in South Florida versus Texas, North Carolina, Washington, California, Oklahoma, it's all going to change depending on your demographic, your audience, your population, and how much it costs for your cost of living. How much is your dump fee cost? How much is your gas cost? Everything takes a factor. So that's why it's so hard to tell someone, oh, this is how much I charge, so you can start with that. You can't always do that. But people ask, so I'm going to say what I charge for, how much I charge, and then how I kind of came to be those numbers. So hopefully you guys like this and enjoy it. If you do, like the video. And we're going to go ahead and get right into this. Wow, that's a lot stronger than I intended. So I personally have a 6.5 by 12 foot trailer. I break my increments into 8. I personally found that to be the most beneficial. I know a lot of franchises, they do 12 to 16 increments. I think that's a lot, but I'm not a franchise. I think if you have a smaller trailer, maybe like a 5x8 or even a 5x10, I would do quarters. If you're using just a pickup truck, I would do a minimum, a half, and a full. That's just what I found to be helpful for most people. The ways I charge, and I'm going to mention this before I get into my actual increment breakdowns because all these are going to affect that pricing and you'll see why. So some extra charges that I go for is debris. Am I picking up drywall and tile and cabinets and stuff like that? I'm going to charge a little extra. Why? Because it is heavier in weight and the dump charges me more than just typical trash. So I'm going to charge more. So I'm not losing out on profit. So for debris, I personally only load my trailer up to 2 feet in height, which is the halfway mark. A lot of franchises do that even with their junk trucks. And I charge an additional $25 per an increment. So let's say, for example, my quarter truck price is $200. I'm going to charge $225 if I'm taking debris, and I'm only loading it halfway in height. Let's say I'm doing 7/8 of a load. That would be an additional $175 on top of my normal load price. And again, I'm only loading halfway. So that kind of gives you an idea for debris. The bed loading is a common feature. Charging a little extra is a common feature as well, so don't be afraid to do that. The next thing is a heavy item fee. Now, heavy item for me is more so in comparison to its volume. If it's a huge piece, I'm expecting it to be heavy. I'm not going to be as harsh on it. However, let's say I'm going to pick up a gun safe, for example. A good size, 5 foot tall, 18 inches wide by 18 inches deep gun safe. Those things are easily 200 and 300 pounds. And guess what? They're smaller than the size of a refrigerator. They're no bigger than a dresser if you were to stand it up, yet they weigh twice as much. So I may charge a little extra for that. Or, and my most favorite example is, let's say I'm going to pick up a tabletop that is 1 inch thick glass. Glass, the thicker it gets, much heavier and harder to move. But you look at a glass tabletop, maybe it's 4 feet by 4 feet, inch thick. That thing probably weighs almost 250 pounds easily. Think about a piece that is similar to size. A picture frame with the canvas painting in it probably weighs no more than 25 pounds. But look at that difference. If I were to load up my trailer with 20 of those things, one, I'd be drastically overweight, and two, my dump fee is going to be higher than anything else. but volume wise, it's still trash. It's not debris. So it's kind of hard for me to charge extra for it. So I personally, that's something that I would tack on extra weight for. Or let's say, for example, you have a dresser, typical dresser, 200 pounds maybe. Take a dresser and add a 3-inch granite top to it now that's attached. That's very easily 350, maybe 400 pounds. Granite and marble add up fast. You gotta be careful with those. So I'll usually add on an additional $25 to $100 per a piece. So if there's 5 heavy pieces in that load that I think are worthy of adding on an extra fee for, I'm going to add on 5 additional $25 to $100 fees, depending on what it is and how heavy it is. The next thing is extra time. Now, extra time isn't so much for cleanouts, though I am going to kind of throw it in there. It's for if you're having to disassemble numerous pieces. I know some guys will charge an extra $15-$20 for anything they have to disassemble. I don't do that just because I'm used to it as a mover, I think. But if I have to break down, let's say 5 or 6 pieces, and it's going to add up like an hour of time, I'll tack on a little extra. Or if I'm having to bag up some small stuff, but it's not really a clean out, it's just I'm cleaning out a closet or multiple bathrooms, and it's going to take me an extra half hour, 45 minutes to do that, I'm going to add on time. Or let's say, for example, I have a really long walk, or I have stairs, or it's a high-rise condo building where you know that it's going to take you forever to get to the elevator. The elevator might be fast, but you're going to have to stop every time someone calls it. Coming back down, you're going to have to wait for the elevator. That adds in time, just as much as stairs do. It's just a little easier on your body. So I'm going to charge extra, and I like to do $50 per person per an hour extra. So I do a lot of my jobs solo. If it's going to take me an extra hour, I'm tacking on $50. If I have my helper with me, it's going to be an extra $100 per an hour. The next thing is stairs. So this is more for minimum pickups or for full loads or cleanouts. So for me, I like to do $10 per flight of stairs. And this is something I don't even really charge for anymore. It just naturally comes up in my head as I'm giving you a quote. So let's say somebody calls and says, hey, I have a queen size mattress. I'm like, okay, is it a house or an apartment? It's a house. Okay. Is it first floor? No, it's second floor. Okay. Let's say my minimum pickup is 99. It automatically just became 109. I'm not even going to tell them the difference. Or maybe they're on the 3rd floor apartment and I'm bringing down a couch. It's going to be a 1/8 load. I'm going to tack on an extra $30. And that extra money is for time and it's for labor. It's extra work to have to bring somebody downstairs. It's a higher liability risk for damaging property. And it's going to take a little longer. The next thing would be if I'm doing a high-rise building like I just mentioned, I'm either going to do time or I'll just tack on an automatic $25, or I might do a little extra depending on the building. Sometimes they're really annoying and you have to like follow a certain protocol and you have to use a specific elevator, but if someone else takes it, now you have to wait. But it's hard to kind of put that blame on the customer. So sometimes I'll just do an automatic 25. Long walks. I like walking as much as the next person, but not when I'm working. If I have to walk around your community, down the parking lot, all the way over to your guest parking just to get to my truck, I'm going to charge you extra money. And that's going to usually be at least $25. It might be a little more depending on how serious it is, but that is per a load. So if I'm coming back for a second load, I'm going to do $25 all over again. And then the next thing is clean outs. This is one of my most favorite job types to do. Clean out, let's say somebody dies or somebody moves away and just leaves their whole house there and they're like, hey, we want you to go in and clean out everything. Cabinets, closets, pick up everything on the floor, all the furniture, everything in the kitchen cabinets, get the crap out of the attic, basement, whatever, all of it gone. Okay, clean outs for me, in the past, I used to do between like 100 to 250 per load extra on top of volume for its complexity. So if it's just like a general clean out, nothing crazy, it's going to take me probably an hour or two, I might just charge $100. Or maybe I walk in and like you can't even see the floor, there's crap everywhere. You can see there's cat pee and dog poop over here and stuff like that. Maybe I'm going to charge an extra $250. That is how I used to do it in the beginning. What I do more now, just because I'm comfortable gauging time as a former mover, that was our job. We would have the client pay before we even offloaded. and we would have to estimate how long it's going to take us to offload the truck. And these are 26-foot moving trucks. These aren't like a quick little trailer. So I'm just used to gauging time. So sometimes I'll just look at a job and say, okay, I can have the whole bedroom cleaned out in a half hour. I can have the living room cleaned out in 45 minutes. Kitchen's going to be 25 minutes. The guest bedroom's going to be another half hour. Garage is probably going to take half hour, 45 minutes. I'll just group this all together, give myself a little bit of a wiggle room, maybe an extra half hour, and I'll tell the customer, like, hey, this is your price that I'm going to quote you for your job. They're not going to see the breakdown, but that breakdown is going to be my full load price plus however much time I estimate it's going to take in addition. So this isn't like how long it takes me to load the truck. This is extra time to sit there and bag everything up, pull everything out of the cabinets, get stuff down from the attic, and then get it ready to go to my truck. So the average is usually 2 hours per 2 people to load a full truck. It's pretty much a half hour per a quarter. So quarter, half, 3/4, half hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. So if it takes me 3 hours to load a truck because I spent an hour bagging up furniture, that hour is going to get charged as an extra hour. By the way, I also don't throw loose trash into my trailer. So I also charge for contractor bags. I charge $2 a bag because it costs me about $30 to get a 50-pack. So that's a good way for me to get a little extra profit in there. And then speed packs. I have a speed pack right here. You probably can't see all of it, but speed packs are a giant open-end box. I've talked about it on the channel before. They are super helpful, especially for cleanouts, because I can literally wheel this in on a dolly in the kitchen, pull everything out of the cabinets, throw it in the speed pack, fill up a speed pack with a whole kitchen worth of stuff, wheel it out to my truck. Speed pack is done. The kitchen is done. I didn't have to bag anything up. When it gets to the dump, I'm going to roll it off my trailer, tip it over, pull it up, use my speed pack again. However, I do charge an additional $25 per speed pack if I think it's going to end up getting trashed. And what I mean by think is if I'm pulling up a kitchen, there's a good chance something's going to break, oil's going to get out, liquid's going to get out. It's not so much that this is going to get used for moving purposes. So if it gets dirty, it gets dirty. But that doesn't mean I want it to look like trash every time I go to somebody else's house. I don't want to wheel in a dirty speed pack that has cat piss in it. So I just charge with the intention of it getting ruined. Or let's say I'm picking up literally trash off the floor, or something that's been soiled on, or a cat's peed on it. I'm just going to dump off the speed pack. I'm not even going to bother bringing it back with me because I know it's going to be dirty and I know it's going to smell and I don't want to touch it again. So I'll charge an additional $25. And I actually am going to be going to an estimate tomorrow for a clean out. And unless a lady's going to be following me around, I'll go ahead and film it and I'll talk about how I plan on charging for it. And I've talked about it in the past too. I've walked through like houses and thought, okay, I could basically use a speed pack for each room and then figure a half hour time just to give yourself some wiggle room. And I could have this house cleaned out by myself in less than 3 hours. And it literally don't have to bag anything up. I just throw it in a speed pack, take it out, get all the furniture out on dollies, done. Super easy. So getting into the fun stuff, increment pricing. So like I mentioned before, location is going to be a big factor. Do not let that deceive you in everyone's pricing. I know guys in California that are charging over $1,000 per full load. I know people in North Florida that are charging $450 a load. We're going to get into my pricing. My pricing was derived from research I did early on with other franchise companies. I've talked about this in my video I made like 9 or 10 months ago where I talked about what my pricing was. I just didn't show like a physical pricing sheet, but I talked about all the individual numbers and pretty much all the same stuff I just did now, except now I'm looking at the camera a little bit more. So what I did was I took the decals off my truck, called 1-800-GOT-JUNK and said, hey, I need a garage cleaned out. They came by, they gave us a quote. I asked to take a picture of the rate card so I could use it in the future. I still have that card. Their prices haven't changed that much. And I used to work at a company that also had junk removal involved, so I just happened to have all of their pricing sheets because I still know people there. So it's good to get pricing from some of your big franchise areas because as long as your truck is within comparison of size, you know you can charge as much as them. There's nothing differentiating you between 1-800-GOT-JUNK other than maybe they can handle a really big job with a little bit more ease because they have a whole fleet of trucks and guys working for them. Otherwise, the service you provide, bringing out a couch, is no different from them. If anything, you're probably going to be a little bit more personable than they will. So it doesn't hurt to charge as much as they do. I personally found that average of everyone's numbers, compared it to the size trailer I had, and then knocked it down like 15, 20 bucks, just so on paper I came off as more competitive. So my minimum pickup, and I usually try to use my truck if I can, otherwise I'll use my trailer and I'll treat it as like a marketing, is $99. And that has to be less than 1/8 of a load. It's a single item or a really small batch of stuff. My 1/8 load is $159. My quarter load is $219. My 3/8 of a load is $279. Half a load, $329. 5/8, $389. 3/4 load, $429. 7/8, $489. And a full load, $549. If I have to overflow into the bed of my truck a little bit because my trailer is full and there's still stuff left, I would charge an additional $25 to $100 depending on how much stuff I fill in there, because my bed of my truck can hold about a quarter of my trailer load. So if I'm going to be filling that up, I used to just charge like $25-$50. But if I can charge $219 for a quarter trailer load, why only charge $25 to fill up that much volume, right? So I've increased it to up to $100 in the recent months. So that is my overall pricing. Now, when it comes to kind of letting people know, because at the end of the day, customers don't know size of trucks. You say, yeah, we got a 12-foot truck. They don't know what that means unless they like really deal with sizes of actual vehicles. They don't care either. They just want to know what your price is. So when I talk to people, let's say when I go to senior living facilities, I do this all the time. When I'm talking to the executive director and I'm selling them my pitch, I let them know, we'll get into the topic of like 1-800-GOT-JUNK, for example. That's the easiest one to use. Or when I mention I used to be a mover, I'll name off some of the companies I worked for. And I'll, kind of talk about how, their prices are high 800s, which for my area is kind of a lot, but they're a big enough company they can kind of do it. So I'll kind of name drop some numbers here and there, and it helps to compare myself to them because it makes me seem like I'm a little bit more reasonable priced service. I'm not lowballing myself, but I'm not charging as much as the world's biggest junk removal company is. So that's just something I find to be really helpful. But hopefully this helped. If you guys have any questions, comment them down below. Like I mentioned, everyone's going to charge a little differently. People are going to charge differently for different things. If you're curious, when I fill out an invoice, I don't list down every single extra charge. I just group it in all together, and I'll let somebody know in advance. So the way I'll word it is, let's say we're going to do a partial clean out, right? We're going to go remove a couch, dining room table, 6 chairs, a love seat, a TV stand, a TV, maybe one of the bedrooms, just the mattress, not the frame. And then we're going to clean out a storage room closet worth of boxes and miscellaneous stuff and just trash. And maybe like one of the kitchen pantries we're going to clean out. So it's not a full clean out, but it's a little extra moving parts. When I go in there, I'm going to look around and say, all right, I think this is probably going to be about 3/4 of a load. Then we got to bag everything up. Let's just call it a full load. Probably going to take me an extra half hour to bag up all the small stuff. Can't park in the driveway. I got to park on the street. Not a big walk, but it's going to add on probably an additional 15 minutes. I'm going to tell the customer, you know what? I think it's going to be about a full load. It's going to be about $629 to $650. Now, you just heard my full check price, $549. I'm tacking on an additional hour of time, so that's $600. And then I'm tacking on an additional 15 to 20, 30 bucks for bags and for the extra bagging time. So not the loading time, but the bagging time. So I'm just kind of grouping that all together. So I would tell the customer, probably like $610, $625, something like that. I mean, I'd be a little bit more confident when I'm talking to them, but that is what I would do. And you're not sitting there saying, it's going to be $549. I'm going to charge an extra $50 for my labor, an extra $20 for bags, and then another $15, $20 to bag up the stuff in the kitchen. you start pitching them all these different low numbers, they might start saying, you know what, I'll take care of that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that piece. I'll take care of it. But if you just say, hey, I can get this all done today, it's going to be $629. They might say, okay, perfect, let's go. They don't have to know the breakdown. When I send them the invoice, I'm not sending them the breakdown. They're just getting the price. I might tack on an additional labor charge if it's like a big deal. Otherwise, it's all included. So that's what I personally found to be very helpful. I know from experience as a mover that people don't like a lot of numbers for different things. We used to go in there and we would quote them and say, yeah, you know, it's going to take you 4 to 6 hours for this job, assuming you have everything ready to go. Oh, you need boxes, you need tape, you need shrink wrap, you need mattress bags. Well, this is going to be $50 here, $9 here, $17 here, $22 here, $6 here. Up, you need tape. Up, it's going to be an additional $36 for a pack of tape. And all of a sudden, all these numbers are going in their head, and they're like, "What the fuck am I like hiring you guys for? I thought you were just going to move my stuff. Why are you giving me an itinerary of pricing?" So it's easier just to say, "Hey, we think it's going to take you 4 to 6 hours, including material. This is how much we're quoting you for." Done. So that's what I found to be helpful. Hopefully this video helps. It wasn't super complicated. But we have to head to this art show in just a few minutes. So I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.